SeatGeek is the easiest way to find the best deals on tickets to pretty much any live event. Concerts, sports, theater, comedy, whatever you want. Download the SeatGeek app today and enter promo code SEATS to save $20 on your first purchase.
I'm Aaron Reiss with Alex Schiffer. We're here to discuss Mizzou stuff because that's our job. We cover Mizzou sports for the Kansas City Star. So if you're listening, then you can also watch this weekly on Facebook Live on our page, Mizzou Zone. And if you are watching, well, you can re-listen, I guess, if you're interested in doing that. Sports Daily KC podcast you can find on iTunes, SoundCloud, etc. We'll put a link on there. So we're gonna start doing that, recording these two ways so that people can catch it however they most appreciate. What's up with you? Sick?
Yeah, somewhat. Great time to get sick, right? With
maybe not the best time to start transitioning into doing these audio only.
But, I know. Yeah. We're gonna lose so many subscribers just with the first one.
Yeah.
I brought the cough drops though, and I'm on drugs, so I'm in about as good a condition as I can be.
Okay, well there you go. Antibiotics or no?
Not yet. My dad keeps telling me to go to a doctor, and I said when I get back from LSU, if I'm still sick.
Yeah.
I got this. Work comes first.
Yeah, of course. Speaking of work, what's the storyline of all this right now is the same thing it's been for a while, which is will Michael Porter Jr. return to Mizzou, or return to playing for Mizzou? I guess the latest update is that there's not an update, in that he went to the doctor today, we know, in Columbia, not in Dallas, even though the surgery was performed in Dallas. And we don't know what came of that visit yet. I guess maybe we'll know tomorrow. Cuonzo Martin's supposed to meet with media tomorrow, we think. So if he does indeed meet with us tomorrow, then certainly he'll be asked about it. And we would seem like he would probably have to know one way or another what at least came out of that meeting. And maybe the doctor gave some clearance, or maybe the next step is clearance the following week. It's just this whole saga is just bizarre.
You literally can't write this the way this has all gone down.
Yeah.
It seems like even Mizzou hasn't known which way is up sometimes with what's going on with him.
Yeah.
And to me, what's just getting interesting is that, last week we were all talking about how whenever he comes back, it'll be good because Mizzou will get a few regular season games to get acquainted with playing with him again and get some time to kind of gel with him. Now you kind of wonder, do we not see him potentially until St. Louis or wherever they go for the NCAA tournament? And going off that, is there even a chance? I feel like we've changed our opinion so much on this. I'm going to only cause havoc when I say this.
Yeah.
I kind of began to wonder today if he even comes back.
I was feeling this too, but I didn't know.
Oh, you're waiting for me. Okay.
I didn't know if this is something that people should say, but I think that it's really interesting. I think I'm victim to getting wrapped up in this. I think a lot of people are. Is that when Mike says, "I want to play again," and I'm hoping the doctor clears me to play, then the thing everyone thinks is okay, so he's going to go to the doctor next week. The doctor's going to clear him to play. Yeah. He wouldn't be sitting here and talking like this if he didn't feel really confident for it. But if you look through or read what he actually said, transcribe it and read it, there's two things he said. One was my doctor doesn't care if I play this year, which is not like he's not, which I don't think is some giant coded thing that we should look too much into, but I think it's significant, right? And a reminder that the doctor doesn't work for Mizzou, and that's not the person who matters most here, or that's not what matters most to this doctor here. And two, that he can say, "Oh, I feel like I could play, I'm ready to play," but Cuonzo Martin pointed out on his radio appearance today in St. Louis, which you could say the questions were kind of leading or whatever, but it's in his experience as a coach and logical, these things typically don't go from no, you can't practice to yeah, you're full go, It's there's probably another step here of is he cleared to play without contact or practice without contact? Okay, now is he cleared to do contact? Okay, how ready is he to now go against a non-teammates in games? And I don't know how quick you go from one step to the next step to the next step, but I think kind of just those little comments give you a little more perspective, a little more like, okay, like let's ease off here a little bit. Mike can feel really great about this. Mike is also 19 or whatever, and can feel great about everything. But that doesn't mean that that's really what's going to happen. So, as much as it seems like these things are gaining momentum, part of me at the same time is like, okay, until he steps on the floor, I'm still not certain he's ever going to play. Yeah,
it's interesting too because the more and more I've kind of thought about it, it's all right. Let's just say Mike comes back to practice and it's going to take a while for, the mental aspect to come back to. For him feeling fine with the back, well, if he goes up for a dunk and lands awkwardly or whatever, maybe he says, okay, maybe I can practice, but I don't know if playing is a great idea right now. I think that maybe we've all been brought down to reality a bit today, but I just kind of thought from that whole thing of Konzo and his radio stint today, my takeaway too was, this is their star player. This is the franchise guy. This is the Tom Brady of Mizzou. And Konzo said, when Frank asked him, he'll be cleared for what? And he's like, non-contact, I guess. Like, what do you mean you guess? You don't know the whole itinerary right now? This is the face of the franchise.
Right. Like, what are the steps here?
Yeah, so the fact that I took away that Konzo is not fully sure himself as to everything that's going on. And I think the people that have been around the team and follow the team closely, that might not be breaking news.
Right.
But
I also think it kind of indicates to you, not to cut you off, but I think it also kind of indicates that if it was really, really, really close, he probably would know all the steps.
Yes.
If it wasn't really, really, really close, then maybe he's still kind of in the same position he's been all season, which is, he's part of the team, he's around, but, I'm not fixating on this until it's worth getting worked up about.
Yeah. Something that someone had brought up to me today that I thought was interesting was, do you think there'll be an advance notice of when MPJ is playing? I'm convinced you and I are going to be at a game, and maybe he'll come out in warm-ups for one game, but he won't play, and it'll be a bit of a tease. And then we'll see him, take his jersey off, and he'll come in, and we'll all look around wait, blood alcohol level, all zeros, fever, none, what?
This is legit, yeah.
So I really think that if he were to return, we're going to have no clue. We're going to have no advance notice. I wouldn't be surprised if, Missouri's, let's just say he comes back in the SEC tournament, because right now that looks like maybe the more realistic thing. If Michael Porter checks in along with Brett Rao, the walk-on, because that's what he needs to play in right now, was absolute garbage time. So I have no... If you were to ask me last week walking out of Mike's press conference if he plays, I would have said absolutely.
Yeah.
Today, I've kind of amended my statement to no freaking clue / doubtful. And
what's so funny about this whole thing is from week to week it can change, and it's because no one can really say anything definitively. Even the people who are involved in the process, and so it leaves open for all this speculation. And it's shocking that it has not distracted the actual product on the court.
Well, that's the other thing I was thinking about today is that they've won 5 straight, and they've had 2 of their most impressive wins: the overtime win against Mississippi State on Saturday and the win against A&M on Tuesday. Both came after Mike said what looked to be that he's returning, and I kind of wonder if you're Konzo, you want to kind of cut this noise off, and that's why I've asked Konzo before, if he can't come back by a certain date, will you axe the whole thing? To ask your team to kind of play with this looming over their heads is to me kind of unfair.
And it's picking up momentum now. So the idea of it's not a distraction. I mean, yeah, maybe, but I would think it's maybe a little more of a distraction than it was 3 weeks ago.
I would find it, so they're down to 9 healthy guys able to play on the team. I would find it very hard to believe if you put all 9 on Truth Serum, including Jonte, that 9 out of 9 would say this is not a distraction. Right. I'd have a very hard time believing it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's very interesting.
And we have I'm going to be en route to Baton Rouge early tomorrow for the LSU game. You're going to be at media day.
Yeah.
I have absolutely no idea what Konzo's going to say. I don't even have an inclination as to, maybe he could touch on this. I think the question for Konzo tomorrow is, what did Mike's doctor say yesterday?
What's
the
next appointment? What can he do now? Yeah, and then if he is only cleared for non-contact, okay, when would be the next time at which you would revisit if he's cleared for contact, and when would be the time after that he'd be cleared to play in the game? Can we nail down a timeline on all this stuff? Because it's kind of it's there's not much time left, so you kind of figure you can point out days by which things need to happen for something. And, you make a good point. I mean, even or before we started, but if they play in the NCAA tournament game, or if they get to the NCAA tournament, which they should, and if he's healthy by the NCAA tournament, which the way this is picking up, maybe he won't play in any games prior to that, but maybe he's healthy by then. I mean, who knows? But let's say he even gets to that point. Even if he has not worked with the team and he said, I want to do what's best for the team, whatever, how does Konzo or how could the fan base take the idea that a healthy Michael Porter, even if he hadn't practiced, is sitting on the bench, not playing in that game because he didn't get time in to adjust with this team, and then you lose an NCAA tournament game by, let's say, 5 points. I guess the whole argument you've got into with people on Twitter is
thank you for the reminder.
70% of MPJ is better than
100%
of Colin Bentley or Reed Nico, whatever. Sure, and that's not a knock on those guys.
But he's not going to come back.
But my point is okay, but is 100% healthy MPJ that hasn't practiced or hasn't played in a live game prior to this NCAA tournament game, let's say hypothetically, is certainly better than 100% Colin Van Leer. But on principle and on superstition or whatever you want to call it, the idea that he hasn't had any live time with these guys, do you still put him in there? And I don't know if it's necessarily the right call, but I think you would have to, because you couldn't live down the idea of you had this top prospect and you didn't play him, and for a number of reasons. One, I think it would really hurt your perception of the fan base if that would happen, and two, you were saying recruiting. I mean that would just, it would linger and be the side effect for forever until. Yeah.
I've even kind of wondered as we've been talking about this before we went on air, that if Mike were to play an NCAA tournament game and Mizzou were to lose, couldn't there be, because this is just the way fan bases are, wouldn't there be complaints even if Mike were to play, all right, let's just say he has a limit restriction, he comes in and plays 15, 20 minutes. Well, and I speak, because we're the Kansas City Star, I speak as growing up a New York Mets fan, and the Mets losing the World Series to the Royals when Matt Harvey said, I want to stay in, and they left him in and he got shelled. I think there's another ulterior dilemma that comes in here. If Mike wants to play, if Mike's innings limit, minutes limit is 15 minutes, and Mike plays 15 minutes and looks good. He's 4 for 5 from the field, 12 points.
Does he do
and it's also interesting just with Porter Sr. on the staff. Do you say, okay, we're taking you out after 15 minutes, but Mike says I could play more, and Mizzou loses the game. So you lose a game with Michael Porter, but he comes out after the game and says I could have played more.
Yeah.
Or do you leave him in and he shoots you out of the game and you lose, and you say, well, he wanted to play and he's my best player, and we haven't had him all year. So
it's very, very.
I think it's a lose-lose situation for Konzo in some senses, and I feel like the only way that, and I don't even want to say Mizzou comes out a winner because it doesn't, but the only way that you can look good in this situation is if Mike says by game X or by the postseason, just some kind of statement of, if I can't return before the end of the regular season, I'm not going to come back.
Yeah.
Or I won't return if I can't play before the end of the regular season.
But I don't think we're going to get that answer. I mean,
no. I think the speculation we're going to be dealing with every day till the end of the season.
I think the way he spoke, and the way both of them, in fairness, I mean, not just him. I mean, Konzo said too, he was asked about as their drop dead date, and he was kind of we'll visit that if it gets to that point. Well, it's what? Isn't that what we're asking? When is that point? He
also said in that answer, which was interesting to me, though, we have to do what's best for the team, and what's best for the team might not be best for everyone, which, again, I'm interested to see what he says tomorrow while I'm in the air, but I'd be interested to see if he amends that statement tomorrow to say game X, or if I won't entertain this in the postseason, or something like that.
Right, yeah. Very, very complicated.
Or a win-win if he plays, yes, but he has to play first. The only thing I will say is Mizzou's end of the regular season, their last 2 regular season games are
total
snowflakes.
Opportunities.
At Vanderbilt,
Snowflakes. All right,
at Vanderbilt, at Vanderbilt, and home against Arkansas. I shouldn't have said snowflakes. But those are probably their 2 easiest remaining games left on the schedule,
Yeah.
I'd say. And home against Ole Miss, again, it's just soft schedule. It's kind of tough to tell.
But I don't think he'll play in that. I mean, Gonzo said he's not playing in that game.
Yeah,
so.
no, he'd be
shocked.
He'd be shocked if he's on the floor Tuesday. Can't answer about next Saturday. But those last 2 games are about as good of a situation as you can ask for with all of this, which is why it'll be interesting next week. If you could get him on the floor for those last 2 games, I think you could do a lot for the postseason.
Yeah.
Obviously, any game is better than none, but it's the schedule is really benefiting Michael Porter to come back right now.
Yeah.
And that's why it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out.
And the other thing to keep in mind is that in terms of people who are like, well, it's going to take worried about how much time it would take him to adjust or them to adjust if he comes back, is that basically because of this win streak, because they won this game against A&M and stuff, and presuming they win 2 of this next, presuming they at least win at Vanderbilt and home against Ole Miss.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, basically none of these 6 games at least 6 games, if you figure they lose, if you say they lose their first game in the conference tournament, none of the games between now and Selection Sunday matter, essentially, because they would probably make it. And they're, you want the seed to be high and max out all that. But my point basically being, you can afford for him to come out and just play like
There's
crap.
no more resume wins left.
Yeah, you can afford for him to come out and just play like crap. And someone on these comments here said that you'd think he'd play at Kentucky. I don't know. I mean, who knows at this point? But if he did play at Kentucky, I mean, that's the other thing is why would you play it to some degree? If that winning Kentucky would be a nice little boost, but you don't need it. So wouldn't you rather take the risk of I'm not going to play him against Ole Miss? I'm going to kind of leave it in the dark of what this team would look like, how much he would play, what he would look like, whatever. Don't give Calipari any time to look at anything. And then you come out, and if it's great, cool, you won at Kentucky. Still a big win, even if Kentucky's not great. And if you lose, it's okay, whatever, we're going to make that NCAA tournament anyway.
No, I agree. I've had college coaches tell me off the record that injuries are the things they're most sensitive to dealing with when it comes to reporters because they don't want to give a scouting advantage to the next team on the schedule. So it makes complete sense for Mizzou to kind of go dark on this until he's ready to play.
Yeah.
But it's just going to lead to more questions, more rumors. The other thing I've kind of thought about all this, I might get a little off topic. Everyone's compared this all year to a Kyrie Irving situation.
It's not the same.
It's completely different. I've thought more about he played 11 regular season games before he played 11 career games. He played 8 and then 3 in the tournament. 8 games in 2 minutes is night and day. And for those that keep comparing it to that, I'm going to sound like Mike Francesa, but you really got to go home and rethink about that. 8 games in 2 minutes is a completely different situation. He had run that offense. He's a point guard before. He'd been in those situations. He knew the playbook. And I'm not saying Mike doesn't, but 8 games to kind of adjust to that compared to 2 or 3 and right now just 2 minutes. Come on.
It's not the same.
So I'm kind of throwing it out there to some of the people that have come
and other people are people who say that it's a big risk for him, Kyrie Irving came back and was the number 1 pick. If I remember correctly, that draft wasn't nearly as deep as this one.
Yes.
The number 2 pick in that draft was Derek Williams. You can go look up how Derek Williams did.
Yes, he was a Nick a couple years ago, which isn't a good thing.
Yeah, that's all I'll say. Okay, good chance of finishing second in conference. Let's shift out of this. We've now spent 18 minutes talking about a guy who might not play. So let's all right.
By the way, the guy that said that the doctor's appointment might be for his new puppy, if that's the case, that's hilarious.
Yeah. Also, he named his puppy Mike, which I'm not here to judge, but
kind of like a Garrett. What's the boxer that named all of his kids the same name? He has the grill. George Foreman.
Yeah,
George Foreman.
He named all his
Pull the
Georgina
Foreman.
and all right, so let's move on. Okay, chance they would finish second in the conference. I'd have to look at the standings real quick. It doesn't seem very likely.
Auburn is going to be tough to catch. I believe Tennessee is in second.
Yeah.
So
it wouldn't seem likely. Let's see.
Tennessee's in second, 9-4.
I guess Mizzou's 8-5.
That's the American East Conference.
Well, that's all of it. Okay,
yeah.
So Mizzou doesn't have the tiebreaker over Florida, which is also sitting at 8-5 in conference.
But it does over Tennessee and Bama.
It does over Tennessee and Bama. That's true. Tennessee would have to lose another game. Auburn, you're not going to catch. What's Tennessee's remaining schedule? Tennessee's remaining schedule is other teams Tennessee has left.
Florida, Miss State.
Florida, Miss State. They probably beat Georgia twice. They beat Ole Miss. I mean, I guess they could lose to Florida, but that then helps Florida. Mississippi State's a good team. I don't know. I mean, that's the thing about this conference is all these teams can beat up on one another all the time.
Mississippi State and Tennessee are kind of similar too. They don't really have a true big.
Yeah.
They kind of play more with their guards.
Yeah.
So that'd be an interesting game.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's. Is it possible? I guess I could map out all this stuff for you, but I mean, I think more realistically, that doesn't matter so much as just can they hold on to 1 through 4?
Yes.
And can
get
they
a double bye.
Get the double bye in the SEC tournament. Maybe give Michael Porter Jr. some more time to recover. I mean, that's what matters the most here, and I think that is legitimately a very real possibility they hold on to that.
I agree.
Other questions?
I believe they were picked 4th or 5th in the conference too, so it'd be
fourth. I think
with
right?
Mike, they were picked 4th in the conference.
That's
so it'd be impressive for them to kind of hold that spot without him.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, and that also kind of speaks to something a lot of people said about should Konzo be the national coach of the year, which is a really, in my opinion, legitimate discussion.
Check on Twitter if we've got any questions.
All right. SEC Player of the Year. Cassius deserves a look.
I think he's got a shot. Someone asked me this today. There's no runaway player in the conference, if you ask me. I mean, Grant Williams or Admiral Schofield of Tennessee, I think, have shots. Yeah. Chris Chio's of Florida because he's a senior veteran that's kind of done a little bit of everything in his career. The Bryce Brown maybe on Auburn, but even if you look at those guys, it's not like they're putting out amazing numbers. I mean, Cassius is similar to all those guys.
Right. And he's been on a tear recently.
Yeah, we talked about Mizzou's schedule kind of being a little soft towards the end. I think that kind of helps Cassius' case because if he could kind of put up big numbers going into the end of regular season, that could maybe give him a bit of a push.
More momentum,
Yeah, and I saw it getting talked about on the SEC Network the other day about him as a candidate, which I thought was a good sign for him.
Yeah.
But I think the media votes for those awards. I think if the coaches could vote, I think Cash would have a really good shot because a couple coaches have brought that up before. But I don't know about the media.
If there was an award for most impact grad transfer,
he'd be the runaway. Yeah. He'd be the runaway.
I mean, and he went up too, which is not normal how these things work. At least not for guys who are making the sort of impact he has. Barnett's recent struggles a concern moving forward. Matt Mack asked. Yeah, I mean. I wouldn't say it's recent though. It's been like all season. It's been kind of here and there, and he's just not. I don't think he's a super consistent player because I think he is overly reliant on whether he's going to hit threes. And if he's not hitting threes, then he's not going to be super consistent, or he's not going to play super well. And I mean, it's huge for this team when he is playing well. I mean, you saw that against A&M. I mean, I think they're just a much better team. Like it opens things up on offense. This takes attention away from Cassius, all that stuff. But I don't see that changing. I don't see him becoming more reliant. I think that game against A&M, what it did show you is like what this team can look like when everybody's kind of clicking. I mean, everyone played well, and and A&M was one of the hottest teams in the country.
It's funny you say that because we didn't get to talk much after the A&M game because I felt like crap, and I still do. But something that I kind of thought about during that A&M game was that was the first game that Jordan Barnett really didn't just try to dunk or take threes offensively. He took some baseline shots. He drove and did some pull-up stuff. And I kind of got myself wondering, what would this team look like if he was doing more of that all year? I remember Kyle Keller, the Stephen F. Austin coach, he said in the postgame, all we had on film of Barnett was him taking threes and dunking. Yeah. And that's really been the whole season. And those have only been games where he's on.
Yeah.
Other games where he's been in a funk, it's just kind of been like...
he kind of stops taking shots, stops doing much.
He disappears. So I've kind of, to me, I always think Barnett will go down as a player that was a what could have been player if he had all 4 years at Mizzou and if he didn't just be, two-dimensional on offense where it was dunks and threes for the most part and was fully engaged and was this lockdown defender that Konzo envisioned him to be. Yeah. I think he could have been like a second-round NBA pick.
He has all the tools.
But and it's funny because I'd even kind of wondered if he goes to the NBA Summer League and some coach lights a fire under his butt.
Yeah.
And he plays really well. I wouldn't be surprised to see him in a training camp just because it's all there.
Right.
It's just kind of like it's like if you're packing a lunch before you go to work. He might take the sandwich and the piece of fruit, but he doesn't take everything with him to the game. And if he took all of that it'd be interesting to see what he could be. Did
Yeah.
that work?
Yeah,
I thought that
was really
play.
cheesy.
Okay.
But yeah, we'll take it.
I'm not 100% like Reed Nico
yeah,
right now.
I guess.
I'm 70% MPJ.
Okay, yeah, 70%. He's not playing. Best all-around free throw percentage team in the SEC. That's kind of weird.
I think
question.
Auburn is statistically because when Mizzou came
we
in,
can look it up. I mean, Mizzou's really good at that. I mean, I know that is how I can. While he looks it up, I guess I'll just say that. I mean, Mizzou's free throw shooting is going to help them stay or keep hold of these games that they are in a lot of ways otherwise just utterly collapsed. The inbound passes, which just who knows why that is happening. But yeah, I mean, why is Auburn good this year? Great question.
Ask the FBI.
Yeah, I mean, Carl's doing a really good job coaching. I mean,
he's doing.
And if the coach of the year thing was only based on what was happening on the court, I think he deserves it even more than Konzo Martin does. But if it includes stuff off the court, then I think he deserves it less, and I think Konzo Martin deserves it more. You know, like
I agree.
And maybe that's a weird way of saying all that, but.
I got a question from Twitter that asks top priorities for 2019 basketball recruiting and chances that they sign with MU. And I have another guy asking for the link. He claims to follow me on Twitter, but he doesn't know that this live chat's going on. That's interesting. We talked about this in my story last week. E.J. Liddell from Belleville is easily their top target. We went to hang out with him. I got the vibe that they really like Mizzou, the family. He's a little undersized at his position, which I think is going to help keep some of the blue bloods away from him, which is a benefit to Mizzou. I think it's a two-way race between Mizzou and Illinois right now. I think Mizzou is the slight leader. Mario McKinney out of Vashon in St. Louis. His cousin Jimmy was a standout player for Mizzou under Quinn Snyder. I think they have a great shot at him. I think I'd be surprised if he doesn't land with Missouri. I think getting him helps with EJ as well. And then after that, there's kind of other guys that we know that they like, but we can't really tell where they stand with Mizzou and other schools. Francis Okoro at Normal, Illinois. Only a couple schools have been in for him, but I could see him blowing up. He'd be a great get. He's like a top 30 player. Mercedes Leach and the Poplar Bluff, the Boot Heel Estate, is like the question I get all the time. He's been kicked off Poplar Bluff to my knowledge, and he's very injury prone, so that's not really a good combination. Yeah. Some people even said that they think you might have to do a prep year just to get back on some of these Blue Bloods radars, but when he's on, he's a great player, so I'm kind of curious to see what happens with him. And Terrence Hargrove at St. Louis, East St. Louis. I think the jury's out with him right now. He hasn't played for major AAU cycle circuit. The drugs are really screwing me up.
Whoa.
He's
talking about what? You're like cough syrup?
Yeah, cough syrup, Claritin, all that.
Claritin.
But I think that he's got a chance to be a real diamond in the rough recruit for Mizzou, but I think Mizzou's kind of hesitant to pull the trigger on him yet. I know they've offered him. I just don't think that's a committable offer right now.
Carter Gage asked, with Sean Webster Gross tonight in St. Louis, how many future Tigers play in that game? Not Courtney Ramey.
Not Courtney Ramey, and not Cartier Gordon. I'm going to go with one with Mario McKinney.
Okay.
Because Cameron Fletcher is a 2020 kid at Vashon that they really like. He's going to be a big-time recruit.
He didn't put a class on it.
He didn't put a class. Yeah. I'm going to say one for 2019, jury's out for 2020.
Okay, all right.
None for 2018.
All right,
good question, though.
Yeah. All right, let's shift NCAA tournament placements. The projections, the people who do these things all the time, basically 7 seed seems like where it's at right now. Where do you think they could top out at if, let's say, I don't think they win out. So let's say they lose at Kentucky. Just
go 4-1. Then you say to finish.
Yeah, and they'll probably get them the double bye, right? I mean, let's say they win one game and then in the SEC tournament or something like that. I mean, barring like a crazy winning the SEC title, where do you think they can kind of top out as a team in the seeding?
I have said before, and again, my answer changed from this morning because of all this Michael Porter stuff. I think if they were to go 4-1, and if they were to run the table, because everything that's still that's still possible right now, if they were to run the table at the end of the regular season and win the SEC tournament, that's about 8 wins or so. I think they could go in get as high as a 4, sneak in as a 4, probably a 5 is more realistic. That's like the ceiling.
Yeah.
right now where they are, we've talked about before how there's no real resume wins left. I think that this is where they'll probably end up. I think a 6 is probably the best situation for them because they have a better chance of the Sweet 16. Anything to get them out of the 8-9 game, really. It'd almost like it dropped to a 10 might be a better situation just because that 8-9 game, if you're an 8 seed or a 9 seed and you win, you play the 1 seed without Michael Porter, there's no chance you win. This is still a team that can make a run to the Sweet 16
in the right
situation
spot,
without Michael Porter.
I agree.
So if they get Mike back and they're the 8-9 seed, that's the game that no one wants to play because if Michael Porter goes crazy, they knock out a 1 and then all bets are off as to how far they go. So I just think that right now, if the best case scenario for Mizzou is to avoid the 8-9 game and try to stick around a 6-5 area if they can. I'm not the committee. I don't know what it would take for them to get to a 5. A 6 because they're a 7 right now. It's kind of logical to think, all right, if they're a 7, like if they're a 7 right now, they're not going to go all the way up to a 1.
Right.
But if they're a 7, then I guess it's reasonable to say they can go to a 6.
Yeah.
And then we've kind of said how will the committee look at Mizzou differently if Mike comes back?
It probably puts you up a seed.
Yeah. So if they can get to that 6-5 range, I think they're in a great shot to get to the Sweet 16, and then all bets are off.
Yeah.
But the 8-9 game, I think, is the thing they just have to avoid.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Avoiding Wichita and getting us to San Diego would be nice,
that'd be cool, too. Although, regarding Wichita, there's one thing I do want to say.
People in Wichita are going to hate us.
There's one thing I do want to say is that, if they played in Wichita, presumably then you would get KU in the second round. I think it's interesting to think.
To make our boss Mike Fan a very happy man.
No, but it would be interesting. What would, if they had Porter back, they probably beat KU. I would think. I mean,
they lost in the exhibition game.
Yeah, and so much
Kansas has
has
lost
then,
Billy Preston. They've added Silvio D'Souza. Right. Yeah, but Mike had a bad game against Kansas, and they lost by 6. Yeah. Mike has a good game.
Yeah.
And that's before the emergence of Cassius.
Became what he was. And Jonte became as good as he was.
Yeah. Tillman fouled out of that game. He's been a little better lately. Yeah. I wouldn't put it. Yeah. It's funny because both teams, to me, Kansas and Mizzou have had similar seasons where Billy Preston, who was supposed to be like their main freshman, had to go because of NCAA issues. Mike had back surgery. They both have very short benches, and they've had to play guys out of position. I think Kansas has done more to try to create depth where Missouri hasn't. They added the football player on the team. They brought Silvio D'Souza, an early signee in. People have asked us if Javon Pickett could have done that. He injured his shoulder. It doesn't really matter. So I've kind of wondered a bit about that. Just they've had very similar seasons. It'd be really interesting to see them match up just because they're kind of in the same boat right now, except Kansas has won a lot more.
Yeah. And I think the only school that has more Quadrant 1 wins or Quadrant 1 games, which Quadrant 1, if you don't know, is what how the NCAA is determining, or committee will look at stuff now. Quadrant 1 is home games versus RPI 1 through 30, neutral 1 through 50, and then road 1 through 70 or 75, one of the two. Only team that has more of them, at least as of Tuesday, was KU. So Mizzou, it'd be fun in a lot of ways. But anyway, anything else you want to talk about before we wrap it up?
They're at LSU on Saturday. I'll be there. You won't be. You're sticking around for the women's game against Tennessee. LSU, it seems like, is a team that kind of like a Jordan Barnett, where they either come out really hot or they kind of roll over a little bit.
Absolutely.
So I don't really know what to expect. Tremont Walters is the point guard. He's a really excellent player. Will Wade's done a lot with his game, and they've recruited really well. Next year they're going to be really, really good. They have a really top-tier recruiting class. It's a road game, though. Mizzou's kind of been weird at LSU. They've won some of those games. They've lost some of them. So
it kind of feels like a trap sort of game.
I think it is a trap game.
The environment won't be super great. Just kind of weird stuff.
Yeah, I think if they win at LSU and they win at Mississippi on Tuesday against Mississippi, they were already on that game.
Yeah.
Again, bad day for me, guys. I'm really sorry. But now I think they definitely are a 6 seed, and then hopefully we have more clarity on Mike, which is a pipe dream. But They kind of have, to me, if they win on Saturday and they win on Tuesday, they're officially in. And they kind of have 3 games to kind of
just chill. Yeah.
Yeah.
Get into 10 is like the magic number.
Yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised if they win. I wouldn't be surprised if they lose. I definitely think they'll win against Mississippi on Tuesday. But I don't really know what to expect in Baton Rouge. Again, I think it could be a blowout win for Mizzou. I wouldn't be surprised if they lost. They kind of came out a little asleep. So I don't really know what to expect. I don't feel comfortable picking a winner or not.
Yeah, me neither. I guess we'll see.
Then the women we haven't talked about. I guess we can give them a short thing. Tennessee's their last really big game. I guess the regular season on Sunday.
Well, they go to A&M to close the season.
That's
but
right.
the last big home game was Tennessee. Yeah. They're 13th right now, so top 16 teams host first round. So they're still there, but I mean they got to kind of this last 4 games is crucial. I mean, it's not like they're not waltzing into hosting necessarily. I mean, these last games are going to matter. It's also crazy how competitive the conference is because they're like mid-tier in the conference basically.
Yeah, they were
and they
picked
don't really
third.
This game's huge because they kind of need to own a tiebreaker over a team. They don't really own many right now.
Yeah, I was looking at the standings yesterday, and it was crazy to me because they were picked third in the conference, and I think you can make a case that they've been the third best team in the conference, but they have a lot of work to do if they want to like kind of live up to that projection, and it's going to kind of be interesting to see what they do. But I definitely think they can make a Sweet 16 team. I think the biggest thing with them is going to be how does the bracket fall for them in March.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, if you were listening to this on the podcast that we're going to upload here in a little bit, well, thanks for listening. You can go like the page that we broadcast this Facebook Live from, which is the Mizzou Zone, Everything Missouri Tigers Athletics is what the name of it. And that's where you can find all our Casey Star Mizzou stories. You can watch these Facebook Lives when they happen live, or rewatch them later if you're into that. Anyway, thanks for joining us. One way or another on the broadcast, on the podcast, whatever. I'm Aaron Reiss. He's Alex Schiffer. We'll do another one of these soon, and maybe by the time we do the next one, we will know when Michael Porter Jr. is coming back. But
hopefully my voice is back.
Yeah, but I doubt either one of those will happen. We'll see. All right, thanks.